Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Health and Fitness Redefined. Today, we have a quick tip episode, and we're going to talk all about achoo. That's right. Allergy season is right upon us. So what are some things you can do to help limit those pesky conditions of constantly sneezing and just irritating eyes? Trust me, it's something I've been dealing with my entire life. Once the spring starts springing, my allergies have arisen. But before we hop into that, first, we're just going to talk about our new sponsor, which is Centripeak. Don't forget, our sponsors help keep this show running. So let us talk about Centripeak. Centripeak is around for over 5 years, and it is no wonder why this vegan product is made in the USA and is certified by both the UL and the NPA, so you can trust the quality of its ingredients. Speaking of ingredients, it's a unique combination of vitamin D3, zinc, vitamin B6, boron, as well as a bunch of other things, ashwagandha and rhodiola rosacea, which are things we talked about in our testosterone episode. It is shown to help improve vitality in men, increasing testosterone levels, improving overall well-being of life, lowering anxiety issues, and we have it right here for those watching. Get 90 capsules in a little serving size here. Take 3 times a day, so it should last you about a month. Centripeak is around. If you're looking to get 20% off, try code REDEFINED20. That is right, REDEFINE, REDEFINE20 for 20% off your first order. Link will be in the show notes, guys. Thank you so much, Centripeak, for reaching out, and I appreciate you guys helping us out on the show. All right, moving on. Let's get to it, guys. So allergies. What the heck are they, Anthony? And like we try to do the most on this show, and especially with these episodes, give you the facts, jump into it. I don't want to talk too sciencey. I think it just in general, it's boring to listen to. I like it, but not a lot of us do. So what are allergies? Long story short, it's basically your immune system. Your immune system recognizes some outside thing, let's say pollen as an example, takes it as a threat, goes into work, and tries to expunge that pollen, which is why you start getting that cold-like, allergy-like symptoms, that runny nose, itchy eyes, all that stuff. It is your own immune system overreacting to things in the air or foods. There's a lot of things you could be allergic to, but that's just the short version of what are allergies. So now that we know that our body is super overreactive to things that just shouldn't be, why do we get them? Well, we don't really know. So some people have been shown to be allergic to something. Some people aren't allergic to anything. Some people are allergic to a lot of things. What we can say is there was a big push to keep kids away from certain foods, and that actually made their allergies worse. So now current research suggests that, especially with food allergies, to expose kids young with small amounts of different things like peanut butter, which is a common one, to help prevent them getting those allergies later in life. Another study that was just released through about why, especially now, people have higher rates of allergies. Maternal tobacco exposure while pregnant has been a big one. So if your mom was around tobacco, which obviously in the 40s, 50s, 60s, tobacco was seen as the cure-all to everything, and you're in the womb, you are more likely than not to be born and have some sensitivity to certain things. Besides that, I'm sure there's other reasons. Who knows? I'm not a scientist. I'm not going to break into it. Those are just some things that I thought were interesting, and maybe some notes for future us to say, hey, let's try not to be allergic to this. And of course, genetics is always a big one. If your mom and dad are allergic to something, you probably are too. All right, Anthony, we know what allergies are now. So what the heck do we do? Well, there's a couple of things. Everyone, of course, knows you can go and take antihistamine. Antihistamines are, of course, drugs you can take to help reduce the symptoms of allergies. And then if you get, like I do, super bad congestion, everything clogs up in those pores, some kind of pseudoephedrine will help really clear it out. But we don't want the drugs. We talk about it all the time. What else can we do besides taking the drugs? Honestly, guys, without even putting anything in your body, one of the best things to do are saline rinses. Those have been shown to help really alleviate most allergies, because what happens is that pollen gets stuck up in our sinus cavity, and then we're just constantly getting re-exposed to that because it's all up in there. So we have to really flush out our sinuses, get rid of all of that. So I do highly recommend, it's really simple, saline rinse. My only recommendation with that is please make sure you're either using boiled water or distilled water. That is it. Obviously, don't put the boiling water up your nose. Make sure it cools down. But boiling water after it's boiled or distilled water to use the sealants, you don't want to get extra bacteria up in your nose. But that is probably one of the best, most natural ways to alleviate symptoms. If you want to move over into the supplement realm, what kind of supplements could I take to help alleviate symptoms of allergies? Well, depends on what symptoms you're talking about. So let's start with basics. There's something called black seed. Black seed actually is either called black cumin, and it's a medicinal spice and actually has been shown to have pretty good effects of reducing allergy symptoms. Somewhat between 60 and 80% of people who were taking it had strong correlation to really just feeling better. And there was 4 studies over on that. If you want more information on black seed, just look it up and you can look up the dosage information on it. Besides black seed, something I didn't know and something I could talk a little more in detail about, which is spirulina. The spirulina is actually, it's algae, for lack of a better word, and it's chock full with actually protein and a lot of antihistamic properties. So it does help with both nasal congestion and with seasonal allergies. There's been 2 studies out, both showed through double-blind studies that it does work. With spirulina, it's really simply just make sure it's not super packaged, preserved. Make sure it's alive. It is an algae. So when you're looking up different products, you could find that. And you can mix it with things. I'll be honest, it's pretty gross. So I try taking it. You get used to it to a certain extent, but it's rough. It depends how bad your allergies are, depending on how much spirulina you want to diet. But it is a complete protein. So if you are looking for something that's a plant-based complete protein, spirulina is an option as a little side effect. Besides that, I cannot pronounce this one. It is called umckaloabo. I'm going to spell that. umckaloabo, which is an African geranium. And it has been actually shown to treat acute bronchitis. So any kind of upper respiratory infection, it cut it significantly, which is, I haven't even heard of African geranium until today. But there's been 16 studies that have shown that it helps with bronchitis and bronchitis symptoms, including coughs, headaches, lung function, fevers. So really interesting that this plant is around and I haven't heard of it. So really cool thing is showed between 40 and 60% of patients suffering from acute bronchitis fully resolved their symptoms within a week. Some people reported experienced benefits just after 2 or 3 days. People that are not cured after weeks still experience benefits since it can treat the symptoms associated with bronchitis, including headache, fever, fatigue, cough, chest pain while coughing, sputum in the lungs, and nasal dripping. So pretty interesting. The dosage on this is really specific. So it's taking that a patented extract EPS 7630, which is 11% of root extract. To supplement, take 4.5 milliliters or 30 drops a day. So really interesting. Probably something to look more research in. And like always, guys, when you're taking supplements, please make sure you're talking to your doctor, because you don't want to take anything that's going to react with your medicine. That wouldn't be good for anybody. So if you're already taking antibiotics or things like that, please make sure before you take anything, do your research, You don't want to jump into things head first, as we all learn the hard way, as we know, and I did a whole big thing on at my club. Supplements aren't regulated by the FDA, so you really don't know what mixes with what to a certain extent. We can only go off of studies that have been done, and people can lie and put a whole bunch of things on inside of something. So make sure you're reading labels, guys. Please, please, please read your labels. Make sure it's pure. Make sure there's not other things in it. And as always, with allergies, sinus rinses. Best way to do it. Otherwise, we're all going to be sneezing all of the months of March, April, and May. And thank you guys for joining us on this week's episode of Health and Fitness Redefined. If you would like to hear something else, some of the topic for our quick tip, small digestible episodes, please reach out. Health Fitness Redefined with the D podcast at gmail.com. Health Fitness Redefined podcast at gmail.com. Until next time. For us, we know what it's like to feel unhealthy, depressed, and downright defeated. We want to show others there is a right way, and through fitness, you could do anything you set your mind to. Fitness can give you that motivation, confidence, energy you need to bridge that mental gap and prevent you from missing important life events. We understand it's about feeling better, living longer, and being good examples for our kids. We understand this because we live it. And for us, that's the redefined difference.